What's up, guys? I haven't made any videos in a long time, but I'm back. I've been away for some time. I've been busy with school. Also, I've been trying out Dark Souls. Well, I've been thinking about for a while trying out Maelstrom Arena once again, and I decided that I should release a PvE specific build for my Stamina Templar, which works great. The gear is easy to get. Um, it's really like one of the perfect DPS builds. Preferably my favorite DPS build that I've ever played on this game. So before I start going on and on, let's just get into the gear, the stats, and the abilities. So the gear is really easy to get. It's the standard gear you typically use for PvP or PvE. What we're going with 5 Hunting's Rage. I'm using Infused on the chest and the legs, and Divines on the other small pieces. You could go with a different trait if you want. If you use your Hunting's Rage from PvP, you might have like a different trait, which it shouldn't be a big deal. I don't think the trait is that significant, but that's just what I'm going with. And then I'm using 2-piece Engine Guardian with my shoulders as Still Veteran 11. You've probably seen this gear before in my older videos, so it's still the same. And then of course with the agility, I'm using 3 pieces, 1 with healthy, 2 with stamina, and all of the traits, the enchantments, are weapon damage. This is because for PvE you want to maximize your damage, and recovery is not as significant. You could be able to sustain yourself as a Stamina Templar with Repentance. Also in groups, if you have a healer that's a Templar, they can also throw you shards. So for the weapons, we're going with the Maelstrom weapons, Maelstrom Battle Axe, and Maelstrom's Bow. Now, because of the Maelstrom's Bow, you're going to be using Volley for the bonus. And even if you don't have the Maelstrom's Bow, a Volley is still a great skill, so we're going to use that regardless. If you don't have Maelstrom weapons, you could like switch up the build a tiny bit, or you could just use plain old any weapon, as long as they're gold. So for the skills, we're using the typical front bar, the same as PvP, which is Biting Jabs, your main DPS, Executioner, Rally, Stampede. If you want to do more damage here, you could put in Critical Rush. I just felt like going with Stampede regardless. And Repentance. Repentance on the front bar is helpful because it gives you that extra bit of recovery. Even though it's not significant, it adds up. It'll do something over time. Plus, it's easy. You quickly heal yourself without switching to your healing bar. Flawless Dawnbreaker is our ultimate. Now, we're not going to be using this for main damage or anything. We're just using this for the passive. In a pinch, you could use this if you really had to, but it's not our go-to ultimate. The backup bar, we're going to go with, I still said Biting Jabs, Razor Caltrops. If you don't have Caltrops, if you don't PvP at all, you could go with like Poison Arrow, or you could add some type of buff to yourself. You know, something like Backlash is pretty good. You could do that. But I go with Razor Caltrops. It's great damage over time, especially with the champion point changes. Vigor is your main heal. Evil Hunter. Now, depending on what you're doing, what you're fighting, you might switch this out for like some other things, which of course would be, I switch it out for Backlash normally, Power of the Light. That's the morph. The stamina morph. It reduces their armor slightly with minor fracture, and then allows you to build up some extra damage, so they take some more burst damage, which you see for me the maximum is about 20,000. Purifying Ritual to get rid of your snares and stuff, and Arrow Barrage has a great damage over time. Really does a lot of damage. Our go-to ultimate is Solar Disturbance. If you want, you could use a Meteor. I don't have Meteor, but I'm going with Solar Disturbance regardless. I like the damage mitigation and the snare. It's really good. The passive, not the passive, the synergy is really good for your teammates as well. Now, if you were doing group PvP, PvE, you could switch up some of these things because you might not need Purifying Ritual. Your healer could be taking care of that for you. You might not even need to self-heal. So you could put in some more like dots and buffs or damage over time. But this is a PvE build that's supposed to be flexible for both solo and group. So the champion points, we have 71 into reduced stamina cost, 57 into Mooncalf, 39 into tumbling, 10 in here for the light attack damage, 16 precise for weapon criticals, 48 for damage over time, 8 for piercing, 48 over here. We got 30 here to just increase our armor a bit, 45, 59, 21, 12. So the overall stats, I'm using tri-stat food right now. It's better if you use just health and stamina. I don't have a Mundus Stone active actually. Oh, I do. Okay, so that's why my damage is higher. My damage is at 43.58, which is pretty high. Recovery is kind of low, but you'll be able to sustain yourself. Now, the health you want to have at least about 19,000, so you don't get one shot in PvP. You could up your stamina a little bit if you have 20,000 health. And the armor is pretty solid. You won't take insane amount of damage. Vampire. You don't need Vampire for PvE. I had this from PvP, I'm about to remove it. So with this build, I'm actually going to go do Maelstrom Arena again in a little bit. I haven't done it in like 3 months. I know it's a lot easier now. So I'm just going to make a full playthrough for anyone. Even if you have low champion points, the playthrough I'm going to make is a specific guide for what helped me do Maelstrom Arena originally on my Stamina Templar. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know. Peace.